Homemade Happiness. Welcome to my channel and welcome to this tutorial for the thermal stitch. This is an extra thick stitch worked with just basic single crochets. You're kind of layering your single crochets on top of each other to make a really nice thick fabric. It is kind of a stiffer fabric, so it's not super great for sweaters or blankets like that or anything like that. But what it is great for is pot holders or hot pads. I have these ones that I made for Christmas that I made using the thermal stitch. They're nice and thick and perfect for using in your kitchen as a hot pad or a pot holder. For this tutorial, I'll be using a worsted weight acrylic yarn and an H 5mm crochet hook. You can use any weight yarn for this stitch. You will just need to adjust your hook size to match the yarn that you're using. So to get started, I'm going to get my yarn on my hook, and I'm going to start with a chain of 15 for this tutorial. This stitch can use any number of chains to start with. It does not have to have a particular multiple or anything like that. You can have any number of chains because it's just a version of a regular single crochet. So starting in the second chain from the hook here, I like to crochet into the back bumps of my chain. So in the second chain here, I'm going to work a single crochet. I will insert my hook. I'm going to pull up a loop and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops for my first single crochet. The chain 1 does not count as a stitch, so we have 1 single crochet. I'm going to do that across my chain. Insert my hook into the next chain and single crochet. Insert your hook into the next chain and single crochet. We're going to do that all the way across the chain. So here's my last single crochet in that last chain. So I just have 1 row of single crochet. So I have 14 single crochet, so I have 1 less stitches than chains I started. So for row 2, I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And now I'm going to single crochet in the back loop only across. So here is the next stitch here. So I have my front loop, which is the loop closest to me, and my back loop, which is the loop furthest away from me. I'm going to insert my hook only into that back loop and single crochet. So I'm going to do that across my row. Here's my next one, back loop only. So only in that top loop that's furthest away from you. Insert your hook there and single crochet. Single crochet back loop only all the way across the row. So here's my last single crochet back loop only. In row 2, you still have the same number of stitches. So in row 3 is where we're going to start to see that thickness, that thick fabric start to form when we do row 3. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And I'm going to single crochet back loop only, and I'm also going to pick up that front unworked loop from the row below. So here's my first stitch. Here I'm going to do my back loop only, and then in the row below, here's that unworked front loop from the row below the previous one. I'm going to insert my hook there as well. So I have 3 loops on my hook. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2. I'm going to insert my hook into the back loop only of the next stitch, and in the row below I'm going to pick up that unworked front loop, that one we left empty. I'm going to insert my hook there as well, yarn over, pull up a loop, and single crochet. So here in my next stitch, insert my hook here into the back loop only and the front loop from the row below, pull up a loop, single crochet. I'm going to do that all the way across my row, picking up that back loop only and then the front loop from the row below, single crochet. So do that across your row, and once you get the hang of it, you can really just kind of grab both those loops in one try there, not having to pick each one individually up. So here I worked that all the way across my row. So you could see it's not going to be, it looked ribbed right here because we have this front loop unworked, but since we grabbed it on this side, that unworked stitch, it doesn't create that ribbed look. We kind of flattened that out there. So now we're just going to repeat that row for the remainder of this stitch. So we'll chain 1 and turn. And now I'm going to grab that back loop only in my first stitch, and then that unworked front loop from the row below. Oopsies. There we go. Pull up a loop and single crochet. Back loop only, and then that loop from the row below, and single crochet. So again, we are just going to continue this all the way across the row. So there is row 3, and you can just feel in those last 2 rows how thick our fabric is becoming because we're double layering those single crochets. They're kind of stacking on top of each other. So you will just repeat that row until your project is the length that you are wanting, and then I will show you how to finish off the top of your work so that you don't have an unworked ribbed look at the top, so we can make it nice and clean across the top of the work. So I repeated that a couple more times, and you can just see how thick, and you can feel how thick this fabric is. So we're going to finish off the top. This is gonna be my last row because I don't want an unworked loop at the top of my work. So this is for your last row. So once you're all finished and you kind of want to bind it off, this will be your last row. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and I'm going to insert my hook into both of these top loops in my first stitch and that unworked front loop. So now you have 4 loops on your hook. Pull up a loop and single crochet. So insert your hook into both of the top loops of the next stitch and that front loop from the row below and single crochet. This eliminates any unworked loops and just gives a nice clean finish for the top of your project. So just continue repeating that across your row. So there, I did that all the way across the top, so it eliminated any unworked loops for the end of your project. Also keep in mind when counting your rows using the thermal stitch that because we're layering the stitches, if you count one side, so if I were to count my rows here, it's actually kind of double that. So here's my first row and here's my second row on this side, but there was another one on the other side. So this is actually row 3, not row 2, if that makes sense. So when you're counting the rows on one side, essentially just double it, and that'll be about the number of rows that you actually have, because we have only show the back side of the stitch because they're kind of sandwiched together, our stitches. So we have kind of 2 layers. So remember, when you're counting your rows, kind of count one side and double it, and then that will give you your number of rows, give or take 1. So that is it for the thermal stitch. It's really easy once you get the hang of it. This stitch is perfect for pot holders if you want something extra warm. It is kind of a stiffer stitch, so I don't know how well it would work for sweaters or anything like that, but if you wanted something super warm, then this is definitely the stitch to use. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time.